Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Lizette from Liquidation, New York, and this is my second episode. Just wanted to come on here just to show you what I've worked on and what I plan to do next, and also just to talk about certain things that are kind of bothering me. I don't know if they would bother you as much, but we'll get into that a little later. I just wanted to show you that I made from scrap, because I try to use as much scrap as I possibly can, just so that I'm not throwing away bulks of fabric into the garbage, which goes into landfills and things of that nature. We're trying to reduce the amount of things that we throw away. At least I am, and I hope that everyone is kind of jumping on that bandwagon the more we progress and move forward, because it is harming the planet, but ultimately it harms humanity. So it's important to be aware of the amount of garbage that we put out there, and ultimately that we should be recycling. But I digress. I made this owl. If you know me, which you probably don't, you will get to know that I have an affinity for owls. I love them. I think that they're beautiful creatures. And I came across a pattern on Facebook, I believe, and they showed how you can make an owl out of like these squares, not squares, excuse me, triangles. And I believe it was three triangles that you sew together, and then you put buttons for the eyes. So I put one button on top of another, and so one button has to be bigger than the other button, and to make the eyes stand out just like owls. And I used some yarn to make the little the owl eyes pop, and it's stuffed, and it's basically a pin cushion that I have here just to put all my pins in, but it's poly filled. And I also made a circle. Well, I used cardboard to and I covered it in fabric so that I could cover up the stitching to close it up, and then I hot glued it on there, and it was a sweet, cute little project. Once the points are up or stitched, you bring that point down to the front, and you sew it down with whatever color, black. I used orange, so that it can pop, but you can use white or black, and it's so cute, and it's squishy, and he's like my little buddy, and I can put pins in him, and he just hangs out with me. And I thought that was really cute. But I also wanted to talk about the whole situation with company Simplicity, which used to be 4 different companies, but then they came together as one company, or they were brought together by one company. And so it's McCall's and Simplicity and Butterick and Vogue, and they have other brands under that umbrella as well, as you may know, Nomi and New Look, and Berta. Well, because of the tariffs that have been imposed, I believe that because the company is based in the UK, they've decided to sell their portion of the company to a liquidator here in the United States. And we don't have that many printing companies that left that would print paper patterns. So we got this news shortly after getting the news about, well, not shortly after, but after the whole Joanne situation and them closing. And as soon as they have announced that all the stores are now physically closed, there is no more Joanne's, then they dropped this bombshell on us in regards to the pattern companies. And I don't know, I took this as one hit after another, because then after that I was also told that there was another company here in New York, or another store I should say, here in New York in the garment district, which was pretty popular, that they closed as well. Now, I don't know where all of this is going or why all of this is happening, and I know for a fact that it, from my perspective, I started sewing when I was back in 2016, and sewing wasn't a popular situation back then. Like, it was not popular at all. Actually, I was being told back then that it was a dying art, because we have now all of these factories, and we have all of these companies that provide us with clothing, the H&Ms and the high brand name stores, and they outsource all of their stuff in other countries. So it was a dying art. It wasn't like people were running to buy a sewing machine, because what was the point when you can just go across the street to the store or to your local mall and buy whatever you need? So sewing was considered at that point a hobby. And being as I was going through some emotional stuff and hardships at the time, I needed something positive to focus on. So by the grace of God, I was presented with the whole sewing situation, which I have met a multitude of people, beautiful people, by doing so. And I've had a lot of fun just creating things. So to me, it has been a lifesaver. But I will say that since then, a lot of things have changed. It's almost going on a decade since I started sewing, and it has become pretty popular again, and it's pretty, like mainstream, I would say, now. The Project Runways and some of these programmings have made it popular as well. But there's something shifting in the sense of I don't know if it's because more people are sewing, and with the threat of these tariffs, things are shifting in a way that it's like almost like they don't like it. It's not wanted for us to continue to teach people how to sew and provide for themselves, because they want companies, they want us to rely on these companies, and they want us to rely on purchasing our clothes as opposed to doing them ourselves. And I find that pretty sad. But we also have a lot of things that we outsource from other countries, and with these tariffs here in the US, we're not going to see, we're going to have a hard time purchasing simple things like notions and threads and fabric and all kinds of things, because the U.S. has grown very dependent on purchasing things from outside of its own country. So I'm seeing more and more stores closing in regards to, it started since the pandemic, and it has progressed to what it is now. It's not going to get any better. I don't see it getting any better anytime soon. I'm not saying that it won't. It will definitely it will get better, because nothing ever really stays the same. But I find that it will be difficult for us to proceed with how we were doing things up till this point, which has made me really sad, because we're so accustomed to, like, whenever I need something, I just, purchase it online at, whatever fabric store or Amazon, or just, I live in New York, so I would just go to my local fabric store to get what I need. But recently I went to my local fabric store, and there's literally almost nothing there. The yarn is gone. There's very little fabric there. Not too many threads, the thread to sew. I have not been to the garment district recently, so I wouldn't know how many stores have shut down. But with tariffs, there's not a lot of things coming in. And so that means that whatever is being bought and used up is not being replaced. And so that's leaving these stores with almost nothing to sell. If they're not bringing anything in and they're selling things, once everything is gone, what is there to sell? There isn't anything. So I don't know. As long as these tariffs keep going, I don't know where that's gonna leave us crafters. And whatever is coming in, because these giant stores like Michael's and Hobby Lobby and whatever are providing you with whatever you need, they're also charging you double the amount of what we would normally have to pay for something. So, we went from thread being, uh, from thread being, depending on where you buy, what kind of thread you buy, and where you buy it at, we go from thread being, $5 to potentially it being $10, $11, $12 just for thread. That's just to sew a garment together. That's not including buttons and, fabric and interface. There's so many things that go into making a garment, and I don't know where that would leave us in regards to continuing to make our own garments. So I find it heartbreaking and somewhat discouraging that we are now being faced with all of this. It's unfortunate. But we have been through so many things here in the United States, especially here in New York. We go through a plethora of things on a daily basis. We've had bomb threats, we've had 9/11, we've had earthquakes, we've had, I don't know, in the past 5 years we have had all sorts of things that have happened, and we do our best to get through them, but I don't know, we're pretty savvy when it comes to coming up with ways to change things up and, to substitute one thing for another. So I'm just hoping that somewhere along the line we will move past this and get through it. And that I myself am praying and hoping that I will continue to be able to sew, because it's the only thing that keeps me grounded and happy and enthusiastic and motivated and inspired. And I love to go on social media and see what other people like myself is doing to continue to feel motivated and inspired and doing what they love. And our community has grown significantly in the past 10 years, and I've seen so many people from so many walks of life, and the variety of ages is unbelievable. We're talking about from our 80s and 90s to, I don't know, we have a young man by the name of Max who's like, I don't know, 7 years old, who sews and is pretty popular off of just sewing. So it has been inspiring to see so many people from so many different walks of life and so many varieties of ages, and not just female but males as well, and the gay community, the LGBTQ community, everybody coming together to support each other and love on each other's projects and support each other all the time. It has been really inspiring, and it motivates me to keep going. But it has been difficult for me now to try to keep hope alive if now we're going to be running into obstacles just to get a project done. Like, you know, it was already hard enough completing a project when we did have the ability. So I don't know what we're going to do, or what I'm going to do moving forward. But we shall see. It is unfortunate, though. I'm very sad. I love my patterns. And I mean, I can learn to try to make my own patterns. I am prone to pattern hacking, but I still need patterns. Like it's sometimes it's just easier to purchase a pattern and get it done, as opposed to trying to come up with a whole pattern to copy a garment that you've already seen somewhere else. Like, that is a hassle. I always try to cut time and resources as much as I can, but it's not always easy. But anyway, I hope I didn't bring anybody down. Excuse me, my eyes are tearing. I suffer from eczema, and I have it around my eyes, and that causes me to tear. So, I am not crying, although it wouldn't be bad if I did, because some of this situation is just terrible. But nevertheless, we'll get through it, as we always have. But I will keep you posted on what it is that I'm doing next. I have done other things. I did this. I did covers for my machines, and I used this very funny fabric that I came across that has cartoons on it, or I should say more like a graphic novel type thing, but it has to do with sewing, and it's really dramatic, and I thought that it would be cool to make covers for my machines with this fabric. And so that's what I did. I made a cover for my sewing machine. I made a cover for my serger, and I also made a mat to put my machine on so that it wouldn't slip, and so that I can use it also as storage because it has pockets. And I will show that to you in a picture. But yeah, I did that, and I did the owl, and now I'm working on a stuffy friend. I am doing a rag doll, and this is my very first rag doll that I am creating now. But I'll get into that in some other post. But that's basically what I've been up to. Hasn't been much for me anyway. I haven't sewn any garments because I just haven't been inspired to do one, although I have had an idea of making one that is currently very popular, but we'll see. I will let you know if I ever get around to it. But that's it for now. I hope everyone is doing well and that you're sewing to your heart's content and that you're doing what you love, whether it's sewing or not. And if there's anything that you would like to share with me in the comments, feel free to do so. Let me know how you feel about this whole simplicity being liquidated, and the Joann's situation, and if there's any fabric stores or companies that you can suggest here in New York or online for me to go to and visit and see. And let me know how the tariffs are affecting you and your family and your area. And we'll get to discussing that in the comments. But until then, I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a blessed day and a blessed week. I'll talk to you later. Bye.